Number 3, public participation. Anybody here speak about any properties? We'll go to number 4. Review of property tax freeze applications, take any action as necessary. Let's start out 45 Stern Street. I'm familiar with that one. Does everybody know about that property? There was one on Stern Street that had been condemned. If anybody has any questions about it, it was a total redo, and he was issued a CO. So I would like to recommend that gets approved. Have any discussion on that? Can I have a motion to approve the application of 45 Stern Street?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next one, 54 Locust Street. I wasn't familiar with this one, and asked Michelle to look up, see if there's any permits. There's no permits taken except for a boiler, electrical. Just boiler. I basically cleaned out the interior, and there's no permits for new windows or siding. And if you read the application, it says who's eligible. Any property owner purchases a property that was formerly subject to code enforcement action by any member of the code enforcement committee and has been substantially rehabilitated. And then I go on to say what is substantial rehabilitation. This would include but not limited to the following: new roofing and siding, new windows and doors, new porches, decks, floors, new paint, lead-in asbestos removal, interior renovations, i.e. kitchens, bathrooms, etc., demolition of structures, rebuilding new structures. This doesn't have any of those, it doesn't have meet any of those standards, so my feeling is that it doesn't meet the standard to receive the tax freeze abatement. Does anybody have any information on this one? Tom, do you have any?
Well, I start off when anybody comes to me and they, obviously we make sure that we have open communication in the beginning that says, yeah, there was stuff going on here on this property that will start the process. So I go out there and I lower the assessment based on the observed condition of the property. That somehow gets me, it never gets me on top of the foreclosure sale, but it gets me somewhere in the ballpark. And then at the end of the process, I say, now you're sure that you, and it's almost like, I could dictate it over and over again, every single one. I say, now you're sure you're all set with the building department and the fire marshal's office. Regardless if it's a two-family or any of that stuff. You're sure that because they're going to see this report. And I'm only looking at it, and I'll agree with you, that there's this one and there's one that will likely come up next month, and hopefully they'll do a little bit of a double back,
right,
because it's the same property owner, and it's a Band-Aid. That's all it is. I mean, you're right. You're not looking at any new cabinetry. You're looking at some basic new siding. Not all of the windows are repaired, and I verify the rents on top of it all, and the income that's coming out of the property is good. If there's any truth to it, and I'm believing that there's no reason why the person would tell me something different, but on a facelift, this is probably, if you compare this with 45 Stern Street, light years away. I mean, complete light years away. And it does not meet the complete objective of the program, this particular property, and there have been a few in the past that marginally just hit a threshold to get you up to occupancy. And primarily, I'm just showing you the range based on observed condition and making a meager adjustment to value, even in this case, after the repairs, somewhat repairs have been done. Like, plumbing fixtures really weren't changed. Some were changed, some weren't changed. It's mainly replaced the piping and then fix the siding up a little bit in spot areas. Roof remains the same.
It's like a Band-Aid, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, the grounds are barely cleaned up.
And it's not up to you to tell people they can't apply. That's not your job. You help, you facilitate filling out the application, so. But he didn't make any effort to talk to us prior. When I saw it today, it was like the first time I had looked at the property. So my recommendation is to deny it, that it hasn't been substantially rehabilitated, it's not eligible for the program.
And he was apologetic that the tenants' occupancy, you know, they had basically just come into the property and thrown their stuff into the place or whatever, which didn't give it its best appearance, at least based on that. He said it looked really nice when, before people got there.
Oh.
They just had a lot of stuff thrown all over the place. But, you know, still, you focus in on the bathroom and the kitchen alone to see if the money was really spent
Right.
to make it a nice living unit.
Right.
And it was pretty much fixtures in place.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Have a motion to approve this application? We'll make a motion to approve in the affirmative, and then we'll take a vote on it. That's how it's supposed to work. So you make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, you have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion's denied. It's not approved. The next one, 474 Birch Street. This one, Bob and I went out to, it's a factory building that is been abandoned for a couple of years, and it has been a subject of code enforcement actions. We have files on, you know, having to cut the grass, remove debris, take down a awning in front that was falling off. So the new owners bought it, and the only thing that was in jeopardy was there was no CO for the property. They had taken out building permits but didn't get a CO. So Bob and I met with owners and went through the property, and they have, in my opinion, they substantially rehabilitated it to, went from an abandoned factory to a usable property.
Right, so it's an industrial property. They redid the office, the business section of the building also. They added a bathroom, I think. So they really modified the property quite a bit from what was there. So, and just recently, they just sent me everything I need as far as fire sprinkler reports and things like that. And they did add some sprinklers, so they made the building safer than it was before also. It is up and running as an industrial building. They have machines and they're running and people employed, so. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this for the tax freeze.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That's approved. All right, number 5, discussion of team inspections, to take any action as necessary. The first one we had was 28 Landry Street. We went out to a property based on complaints by the tenant on the 24th. And it's going to result in a condemnation warning to the property owner. Property is really run down. He's basically, it's a 3-family, and he's using the first 2 stories for storage. And the storage is spilled out into the hallways. I wanted to refer that to the fire department too. If that's on your radar, might want to get over it.
First meeting, we've heard of it.
Well, no, I mean, I'm pretty sure I sent something to get into it.
Yeah.
But he's never called me back or...
Okay, we'll stay on one of them too.
All right.
Guy, is that the house on the left, the red house?
No.
The one before it.
It's not a red house.
Yellow.
It's yellow, okay.
No.
It's yellow,
That's the house on the
yeah.
left?
No, on the right.
Oh, down the right, okay.
And the one before it is blue, right?
Yeah.
The one after is like a faded tan.
So you did send out a condemnation warning?
I'm going to. I have a lot of things. I'm trying to get a hold of the property owner first. Trying to get some communication with him, and I haven't been able to, so I'm going to have to send it out. We may have to send that by Marshall. So we'll probably send it up to Corporation Counsel to find if there's any lien holders on it, too. I already notified Anne Marie's office that there may be a relocation of that one floor if we can't get any response from the owner. There's issues there that could result in injury if the property owner didn't take any action at all. But no work on it at all. Karen, do you want to add anything on that one? Or?
No, you covered everything.
All right. We went out to 101 Jacob Street over last month. We probably have gone 5 or 6 times. We were there yesterday. Tim was there from the fire department, Bob and I. And that's another one where we keep telling the owner what he needs to do, keep going back and...
Yeah, I've been on since 2015.
Right.
So yesterday I went out and I thought he did nothing. So, and then we caught the whole electrical thing, and then his explanation of what he was going to do in the basement. Basically, when I was done, I said, you need a fire alarm system. All this is going to stay. He hasn't done a thing there, and then the catch-all for the whole thing was he was jumping boxes in the basement to get power to
Took
the
power from
second
the
floor.
owner's meter and ran it to the second floor because he rented it to somebody, and the previous tenant shut the power off. The power company locked out the meter, so he took a jumper and jumped into the box, and he told him to disconnect it immediately. A friend was going to go by there today.
Yeah.
But that's another one. The problem is he just put in these 3 tenants. If we condemn it, and have to relocate these people who are just moving in now. So we're faced with trying to work with the property owner. And if he doesn't do it, we'll have to do the minimum things we have to do to... We'll have to hire a contractor, I imagine. Yeah. And then in the basement, those rooms, there's just one room that just stuck out in my mind where they made it out of cardboard. Made the wall out of cardboard, so it's definitely a fire hazard.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to explain to him yesterday, but I don't think he totally understands the whole situation, and that's been going on with me and him for 2 years. The bottom line is, for him to even bring it anywhere close to code, he's got to put a fire alarm system in, he's got to do the doors and all the other things that go with it. His windows are fine, they meet the code, but the other stuff is, definitely a scenario that he's got to tend to, like, fairly quickly. Otherwise, I mean, we were discussing the fact that, if the power gets turned on to that second floor and that jumper's still there. I mean, I'm not an electrician, but I wouldn't want to take that risk.
All right, that's what's going on with those 2. Do we have any more you want to bring up? Is there any more group ones that we did?
I just had a follow-up with 231 Washington Street. I'm not sure if Dave's supposed to be pulling a permit on that.
Fill us in, what was that one?
That was the one we did a group inspection with the fire marshal's office. I think they had it was a follow-up with maybe a CO from an attic furnace.
Oh, that one.
To the apartment, yeah, and we found a whole bunch of stuff there, decks that had to be rebuilt, so on and so forth. So Dave had sent an email asking for more time, and basically told him just come in with plans and pull your permit, and then that buys you a little bit of time, gets you to spring so you can dig your holes and stuff. And then I had, Johnny and I went to 116 Divinity on a no heat call. Ended up that the boiler was running, but the tenant didn't put any oil in the tank, so that's kind of on the onus of the tenant to take care of that. While we were there, though, however, we saw a bunch of unregistered motor vehicles next door. So come to find out that Dave had something to do with that also. So we're working with him on getting rid of those unregistered motor vehicles, and you want to talk about those other 2?
Yeah.
Unsafe porches and stuff?
Yeah, for
The other 2 on Divinity.
Yeah, for groups, we had 102 South, that was a tenant issue, and I talked with the owner. He said the tenant's being evicted, got served, and he gave a letter of his intention of how he's going to repair the issues he had. That was the boiler smoke pipe was too close to the combustibles. There's a contractor that's going to take care of it. The plumbing issues, once the tenant's out, he couldn't get his plumber in there because they won't let him in. So that was 102 South. And the other, Divinity, 101 before was, there was trash in unregistered cars. I got a hold of a management company that is supposed to call me back with one of their loss mitigation people, but they've not gotten back to me yet. That was end of last week. So we'll have to send some letters out for that. 110 divinity was what Tommy was talking about. That was about 9 unregistered motor vehicles. A lot of dog feces all over the yard. Front porches were falling apart. And I think Tim might have gotten into that too. And the owner did say he was going to remove the cars, clean the yard, and come in for a permit for porches. And those two. And there's some other additional ones. You want to just go through the list?
Well, it seems like most of them are in the West End, right? We had, besides the 231 Washington Street, they're all
Yeah.
focused around the West End.
Yeah, I had a couple on.
Do any of those need to be put on for team inspections? You can go.
No, I think some letters will have to go out and, try to get them cleaned up.
Right. With the warmer weather, we're finding we're a lot busier than we would be this time of year. It seemed like spring started already.
Yeah.
Code enforcement.
It was one house that turned into 3.
Yeah. And that's what happened with, Bob and I went out to the Landry Street one, and we ended up, there's 2 other houses we looked at. You can report on those. But, is there any that we got to put on for code enforcement group inspection? I thought there was some that we're going to do.
Well, 116 is Roden, for those of you that are aware.
116 Divinity?
Yeah.
And it keeps coming up with no heat.
Well, we were there, he was there for that, and I went there because I had already been through the place, partially once.
Yeah.
When we got there, and it's Roden. He owes everything. I mean, that's just the way he is. When Tommy made his day by telling him he needed a new roof. When I left there, he was not very happy.
I think 102 South too, isn't that an ongoing?
I've been there since 2013.
He owes
The guy's
us a lot
been
too
just
there.
dragging it out and dragging it out and dragging it out. And he does this, he does that, he does this. He put an alarm system in, but there was always issues. But he did fix that fire escape the day we were there. You know what I mean? But the whole scenario doesn't change in the basement that much. Even though, and the thing that gets him away from everything is he definitely has the fire alarm system. So as long as he keeps inspecting it.
He's the one, a classic one, that John talked to him. He blames it on the tenant. Well, he's the one that rented to the tenant. We didn't rent to the tenant.
He's been blaming it on the tenants. I've been in and out of that. You know what I mean? I mean, he'll eventually do it. It's just that you got to really kind of kick him in the butt and stay on him. Because he's in New York. He doesn't care. He comes out once in a blue moon. That's if he does come out.
Well, John seemed to have gotten him to do some stuff, so.
Oh, good.
What was that?
This apartment at 102 South Street.
102 South.
Yeah. Just keep after him, I guess.
Yeah, he said he has a place in Holbrook or something. He tries to get here once a week.
We're talking about Aristotle? Did you talk to Aristotle?
This is 102 South?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember his name.
Okay.
He's from
New York.
New York, but he has a place.
The old man owns a place. Aristotle's a kid.
Oh, no, this was the father.
Okay.
Well, if it's been going on, you got to be aware that they're going to con you just to make you go away for a while. So if we need to do any abatement work there, the orders just have to be issued.
I could do tickets too, because I have
Right.
an order on that property as well. So if he doesn't do it, I can do tickets.
All right.
He
That might
wrote
be
us a
one to
letter of
ramp up.
attention too.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got a letter. He talked to Chuck Motes, the director. It's the same story, the tenant's this, the tenant's that, and once they move out, then once they're evicted, then I'll make all the repairs. So, I'll see.
Maybe do another group inspection. We have done a group inspection there, right?
That's why we were there, yeah.
How long ago was that?
Well, 3 weeks, took a month, maybe.
recent?
Yeah, yeah.
Just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was, our boy Tim and then Jerry or whatever his name was.
Well, maybe when he reaches the 30 days, we'll do another one. Maybe Karen can ticket him for whatever she can ticket him for, and maybe do a condemnation warning there.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go, the next time we go back there, if the stuff isn't done, let's issue tickets and do a condemnation warning if they're serious.
I mean, on our end of it, a lot, like I said, a lot is covered with his fire alarm system.
But not everything, right?
I mean, he did the doors, that's interior doors, he's got the doors. The big thing is he's covered in the basement because he's got the one-inch strobe and he's got the smoke detector and the heat detector. The thing is, in the basement, is he just, keep things away from the furnace and everything. The basement was never designed to hold what it was holding that day. You know what I mean? So that's the issue there. Plus he had tires in there, remember?
Propane tank.
Oh, yeah, all that. Yeah, so that stuff just can't be in the basement, even with an alarm system.
That's the problem if there isn't anybody monitoring
Right.
what the tenants do then. And these properties are old and they're marginal to begin with. And so we're, again, the Band-Aid thing, they're just putting on a Band-Aid to keep it going and get their rent. But they never get any better.
101 Jacob Street yesterday, she had 4 brand new tires in the bedroom. 4 brand new tires, completely sealed in the plastic, never been out of the rack, sitting right there. And I said, I go, you have to get rid of the tires. She goes, well, I'm leaving tomorrow, I'm taking them with me. And
I don't know, was she moving in or moving out?
according to me,
Moving
according
out?
to what she said to me, she was moving out.
Yeah, but she wasn't the
She was the
tenant,
daughter.
it was her mother, right? It was her
Right.
daughter.
I'm taking her tires with her.
All right, let's move on to number 6, because we have another problem. There's a property owner that owns a number of properties that all the properties are in disarray. And Bob has done some research on them.
We got, it started with 301 Main Street. The tenants are just opening up the second floor window and throwing the garbage on the front yard. I've ticketed them twice, they've cleaned it up. Karen's ticketed them. There's 10 names on apartment 2 and 8 names on apartment 3, in a 2-bedroom apartment. So, doing more research, I found out that he owns 7 properties in town. 4 of them have open cases. Guy and I inspected all of them. All 7 need work. 6 of them need major work. So we're going to set up a team inspection, trying to get a hold of the owner. We will serve him with a marshal with all the letters.
Thinking about doing a bundle of
Okay.
orders.
All right, he's got 3 that he's working on. 46 Upson, 97 South, and 2527 Lincoln. He hires a contractor named Don Lammy. I get emails from him telling me what he's doing on each property. I've received fire alarm plans from a contractor for all 3 of these properties. I've been on top of these 3 because those are the worst ones. Now, he's been working on Lincoln Street right along. He does piecemeal. He goes here, he goes there, he does, enough to keep things listed and going.
Yeah.
Is one completed or above the other? No. I think he thinks that the alarm system will alleviate and relieve a lot of it, but he still owes me modifications, which I don't think he understands. And so he has to get the mods working, otherwise those plans are going to sit there on my desk until I get the mods in and approved, because the state could deny the mod, and then they would have to at least do most of the constructive. This guy's name is, I can't even pronounce it. That's just something I messed with. And so those are the 3 that I got currently going with him. And Lammy at least is trying to do things to keep things moving.
Yeah, he's doing the decks and porches.
He stays in touch with the other guy.
Lincoln. But there's other issues there, and we haven't even been inside.
Right.
We're looking at porches falling down, stairs
Right.
falling down.
At 301 Main Street, I issued an order last year. He hasn't done anything yet.
No, he doesn't.
South Street, Upson's on there too, 44 Upson.
Yeah. It's a little tough to understand if you do get a chance to talk to him.
And I've reached out with phone numbers that I found. But
Yeah. You gotta go
Maybe
through
funds.
Lammy, you know what I mean? Lammy seems to be the only one that can get in touch with it.
And I think we'll serve with the whole wax and just say, you better sit down for a day because we're coming.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the last correspondence I had for all three of these properties with Lammy was emails on February 1st, you know, just giving me an idea of what he's doing and what his plan was.
All right, move on to number 7, new business by committee members. Just want to bring up, Bob and I ended up stopping at Prospect Street, where we had a big action last year because homeless had dragged mattresses back by the railroad tracks behind that, what's that building? Flatiron Building it's called, by Bank of America.
Oh, 20.
Yeah. And again, there's more mattresses and couches, and there's another homeless setup there that Bob passed along to the right person. But more significantly is there's a bunch of properties that need code enforcement in that area. It's just you can't go down the street without finding new stuff. But we talked to one resident about cleaning up the back of his property, and another one. I did talk, Dave Haverfield owns the one where it's a greenhouse where they're doing work, and I talked to him about it. He's going to come in for permits. He wants to restore the garage that's in back. So I'll keep after him for that. But like I said, it just keeps snowballing with work that we have to keep up on. And is there anything, Rich, with doing anything with the homeless back there, or it's
As far as...
well, they set up. They actually have a lock for the door to their tent, so you don't walk in.
Is it on
chair
railroad?
turned over?
Is it on railroad property?
Yeah.
No.
No, it turned out.
No,
the guy told us.
it's old Prospect Road, so it's not railroad property.
We don't know if that's city property or.
We gotta find out, start with the property owner.
Yeah, but I mean, just talking to them
Yeah,
about
we'll
moving on.
go talk to them.
It's a perfect place to set up a tent. If I was going to do it, I would. Because it's asphalt. You had a snow shovel on the side, and
Yeah, you take a ride out there.
yeah, just before it gets to be a big. Remember last time it was
Yeah.
an encampment, but and what happens is they have a little garbage dump that. All I can think of is those archaeological sites where they, dumped all their garbage. But there's a little garbage area where there's all the cans and garbage all, eventually it'll cover it up with dirt, I guess. I don't know. It turned into that again. We're trying to keep that area clean, and 22 complained that we billed them, that it wasn't their stuff. Well, I mentioned them to put up a fence or something in back of their property so people don't drive back there and dump their mattresses. I don't know why that's the dumping place for mattresses, but it is. So I'll have to notice them again and tell them to get the stuff out of there. And if they complain that it's not their stuff, we go back and forth. Because we're faced with trying to get the railroad to do something. The railroad probably is not going to do anything. They're going to say, we own just so many feet beyond the tracks. Whatever. This is right at the edge of the parking lot for 22.
There's a gate there, so it's old Prospect Road, so I think it's still city property at that point. It's a road there. Well, years since it's been used, but...
Right, so if it's not a property owner owns it, and the city owns it, and eventually somebody's going to tell me to get rid of the mattresses. So maybe somebody can find out why.
Yeah, I'll take it right up there.
Is there any other new business by any members? Anybody want to bring anything up? No? I put on here charging tenants for abatement work. Teresa and I had a discussion with Dick about, we had a property on Pine Street where the tenant had a little business cleaning out properties that were vacant, I guess. and he'd bring it back to 127 Pine, and he'd dump it. First, he filled up the garage, it was falling down, and then he started dumping it all around the yard, and then we got complaints, and Bob went out and left notices, the guy didn't do anything. So we had to clean it up, and the owner says that he tried to get the tenant to clean it up, there's nothing he can do, so can the city come in and help him, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, what we discussed is the law really focuses on a property owner, and if it's your property, you're responsible for it. So the property owner is going to get liened, the tax lien for the abatement work. The other thing we're going to try to do more of is write tickets out to the tenants, and try to get them to comply before we do the abatement work. So,
Just a question about that. Isn't it incumbent upon the property owner to police his property or
Yes.
his own property?
Yeah.
So why are we ticketing occupants? I know they're the cause of it, but it's up to the landlord. Why should the city get involved in that?
well, in this case, he was concerned that if he started cleaning it up, the tenant would make a claim that the landlord was confiscating his stuff. And so then there would be a lawsuit, and it would take longer for him to, he was evicting the tenant. And I talked to his attorney, who was one of the local attorneys, and he said that he had worked something out with the tenant, where the tenant would clean it up. And it just never happened, never materialized. So I don't know what the issues are, but it gets to the point where we have to do something, we just can't leave it. I mean, there was actual garbage here, too, so it was unhealthy, it was unsanitary. We had to take some kind of action. And, you know, you can only wait so long for the property owner to take it out. And that's my point of discussing it with our corporation counsel, was that if the property owner put in a, you know, didn't want to pay the tax lien and put an argument up that, you know, it was the tenant's fault, we had some kind of proof that it was the tenant's fault, because we did cite the tenant at one point, that they wouldn't be liable for the money, and I wanted to make sure that the city got paid back, reimbursed. So I think we're good, right?
You know, in Connecticut, a municipality can go against the tenant, the owner, or both.
Okay.
And we usually do both.
Because then the property owner has recourse to take civil court, right, with
Yeah,
the tenant, and try to recoup some of his money that way, I guess, or...
correct. And the idea that, you know, we should seek redress against the tenant, it's difficult. The landlord has that option also.
Yeah.
As most of these tenants are difficult.
Right. Because the reason why I brought it up to begin with is the property maintenance code says that the occupant is responsible to keep their area clean, which focuses on the tenant, and so it allows us to issue an order to a tenant and say, like, I've advised property owners, when they do over a property, like one of these properties that has been rehabilitated, if they take photos, and Karen has advised them this too, she does the housing, take photos of it before they move in. So then they approve. When a tenant moves in and starts calling the city and saying, oh, you know, the bathroom piping's broke, and, you know, there's mold on the ceiling, and, well, it's their responsibility to keep it clean and not break anything. So we can issue the order to the tenant saying, you know, you've trashed this house, you've caused unsanitary conditions. When it's not the property owner, in certain circumstances, the property owner has no ability to control whether somebody dumps a bag of garbage on their floor or not. So I guess from the property maintenance code, it gives us that ability to cite a tenant if it needs be.
But it's not a common practice.
No, it hasn't been. So I
And if
think
you have to clean it up for a contractor or fix it,
right.
what are you using as a collection process against the tenant?
We're not. That was the issue. That was what the discussion was about. How would we do that? We don't have any vehicle to do that other than taking the court to recoup it, I guess, and could, but,
The landlord can also.
right, the landlord can also, and that's probably, since that's, if you buy a property and you take on that responsibility, you're getting the benefit of the rent, and then you have to take on the liability of a bad tenant also at some point. So, you go back and forth. Good question.
Appropriate for me to comment or
Sure.
throw in some 2 cents here?
Yeah.
As a property owner, this is great conversation. I want to thank you for even suggesting this. We need all the help we can get.
Right.
These tenants. Is there some way you, the city, can attach a security deposit?
I don't think we have any legal, any case on that.
That would be a heavy lift. It's a lot of work. I mean, the landlord can always look at the security deposit.
Right. See, and you, and that, the way the law is set up, in Connecticut anyway, is there's a direct statute that says the property owner is responsible for code enforcement costs. I mean, it's a short, path. To get to a tenant, it's a big, convoluted, process. So, to be honest with you, for a city, we're going to try to work with you. If you've got a bad tenant, you call us, we issue orders. But ultimately, I guess that's why you'd have to know your rights, is when you can step in and clean up, or when you evict them. If you have an order from the city and it's citing the tenant, I would imagine that would help.
That helps a whole lot.
But, we'll try to do the most. That's why we can use what we have. The tool we have is the citation to a tenant. Not that we're going to collect it from them either, but maybe that'll be enough to scare them into submission.
Well, it gives us some, certainly a tool, and our greatest fear is starting an eviction with a difficult tenant, having the wrath of code enforcement show up, and worst case, having them decide that it's purely discriminatory, and that, puts us out of business. So, but having something that says, hey, the city cited this tenant for this lease violation.
Right.
That all kind of goes away.
Right, and that's where we will work with you if you're having a problem with a tenant. It's better that we hear about it. Because what always happens, and Karen's sitting right next to you, you can have a discussion with her, what seems to be always happening now is everybody knows the system in Connecticut.
No kidding.
So they'll trash a place, you'll start eviction processes. Once you start the eviction process, they call the health department and say that it's all your fault.
Absolutely.
And we go in there, and I have to be honest to you, we see an apartment where there's trash all over, they haven't washed anything or cleaned anything, and they're pointing a finger at the landlord. And I've said it a few times, more than a few times. What was it like when you
Why
moved in
would you
here?
move in?
Yeah. And
Because
so,
they'll say it was like that when they moved in.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
then why did you move in?
Right.
And so, we've gotten,
Tires in the bedroom.
yeah.
They were here when I got
That's not what you see hardly any on the third floor.
So, try our best. Okay, number 8, old business, 71 Pratt Street. John, you got an update on that one?
71 Pratt?
Yeah.
Talked with the owner, he said he's going to take out a permit for the renovation, and they will be cleaning up the mess outside, getting rid of the car, but I think we're going to have to keep on him, make sure he does it.
This is another one, John and I had discussions about it. Goes out, cites the property owner, the time for them to clean up expires, make another contact, the guy says, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. Try to give him more time, nothing happens. So that's why we end up doing the abatements, is because we've given people 2, 3 chances and they just don't do anything. So what I've suggested to John is let him know that he's going out for bid to clean up the property. And that's worked a few times too now. That, once they see that you're serious with it, then they say, no, wait a minute, I'll do it on my own. It'll cost more if you have somebody else do it.
This is a property the city sent for foreclosure for back taxes, and they have not paid their taxes since they acquired it.
So they can't get a permit anyway.
Get a
huh?
permit.
71?
71.
Nope.
All right, John, we better talk about doing an abatement. then. How, is it,
Yeah, but that's different because it was Michael and Tracy LLC with original owners, and then somehow the ownership is probably a quick claim or something. Now it's-
is that a three-family?
I think it's a 2.
Two? Is there any safety issues that would cause it to be condemned, or?
Not from the outside here. When we first saw it, we were going around the corner for something else, but the windows were open, you know, it was freezing out, the heat was on, you could see that upstairs was gutted, you just see, you know, studding, and I don't know what just changed, it looks like maybe a new window was put in up there. That's where the permit issue came up. You know, needs a permit, Tommy posted stop work. And we posted our letters we sent out.
All right.
There's a dumpster in the front yard, but all the debris that's coming from the second floor is in the yard, not even in the dumpster.
Yeah, they cleaned up part of this big pile of, you know, plaster wet and stuff. But the car's still there, there's a bunch of doors, you know, on the porch and...
All right, well,
outside.
let's, maybe I'll go with you, and we'll look at it, and we'll, it's just, time's expired that you gave them to do?
That was at 30 because of the weather.
Okay, how much longer does he have?
I think it might be next week.
All right, check it, and then we'll go out then when it expires, and if he hasn't done anything, we'll just hire someone to do it. Any other?
Yeah, I got it. 7-11 West Street.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I've been on this guy since 2013. He's done little, if anything. It's two guys that own him. I'm assuming one lives on the third floor, the other one, I guess, is out west somewhere. Being that I talked to him once and he was giving me Mountain Standard Time, so I kind of put two and two together. But I went out there the other day because I hadn't heard from him or the other one in a while, and I'm talking 2 years. I walked into the basement, and there was a 20-pound propane tank attached to a salamander heater heating the basement. So I called one of the owners right away. I said, hey, you got to get it out of here. So I went back the next day. That was removed. But in the meantime, in the basement, he's got a full band set up, like, you know, your basic rock and roll scenario. Drum set, amplifiers, the whole 9 yards. And in the meantime, all through all this, he had made and applied for modifications for an alarm system, which got approved, and we're sitting and waiting for his alarm system again stuff. Well, I got a call from the alarm guy about 3 weeks ago saying, hey, what's up with this? You know, I signed a contract with these guys. Can you find anything out? In the meantime, I find out from Rob that they were saying they applied for a BDA grant for an alarm system. Okay? You know, okay, I know it takes a little time, blah, blah, blah. Well, I called up, and I've been talking with Johnny back and forth, and yeah, he came in the day I was there for the propane tank. He came in that night. That never came in previous to that. And he's applying for the BDA grant for his alarm system. So I called back the contract, because Johnny tells me once there's a contract signed, everything's kind of null and void for the BDA money. And Roddy tells me, yeah, they signed the contract, he's just been waiting for the people to come and tell him, hey, put the thing in. The catch to this whole thing is it's listed as a 3-family.
Yes.
His plan, and it's just a little diagram that he sends in every time, he's ridiculous about drawing up a plan. He's got 2 apartments on the first floor. So then it dawns on me, I went in the rear interior, and there's a 7N and a 7S. I don't remember that being there when I abated the place back in 2013. So I just went back there, I rewrote a whole parcel abatement order, and I laid the law down at the end of this thing, telling him he had 30 days to clean up everything and install the alarm system. Now that was the 17th of February. I'm just giving you the heads up, because if he's not gonna be able to get BDA money, I don't know where he's gonna get the scratch to put the alarm system
And
in.
now it looks like a four-family,
And now it looks like a four-family.
which is another problem.
Yeah.
So, did you want to do a group inspection on this, or does he need to?
Well, I want to go see if it's a four-family.
Friday, we're going out, right, Karen?
Yeah.
So why don't we do it, Friday, are you available? Friday?
I'll go look, I should be.
We'll go, we'll put that on the list to do.
Because Robbie went in, yes, I talked to him on the phone, he goes, yeah, he goes, I had to draw it up as a 4.
Now, having a legal apartment is like an automatic condemnation for that apartment. That's one thing. In the property maintenance code, chapter 8 is fire suppression is required. So if you guys have a problem getting a fire alarm in, and that's part of the safety of the building, that can be, it's an issue.
I mean,
that
it's
can
been
be
an
used as a
ongoing thing now
condemnation.
since, I mean, I'm talking July 16. So, you know, my whole thing is, they're tough to get a hold of. And I was going to call one of them today and tell them, look, you know, put the thing in,
Yeah.
get them, because, I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad tidings when I tell him he's not going to get his DDA money because he signed a contract, you know, because...
Just say John said.
Yeah. But they haven't even come back in with 3 bids. And so I was waiting for the fact that they came in with the 3 bids, Johnny laid the boom on them and say, hey, sorry, you're out of luck. You already signed a contract. So, I mean, the place needs a severe sprucing up, to
Maybe
say
that's
the
what,
least.
just do the group inspection, you have to condemn one apartment, maybe that'll be a
Yeah.
red flag for them, they'll start doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean-
we have
You go
a
in
modification.
On an inspection or not?
Yeah, that's fine.
No? No, not this Friday, sorry.
Can I get John from my office to tag with you guys
Yes.
on that?
Yeah.
Because then we should bump it up to a 4th family. And if you can deal with it.
Well, if it's
Since
condemned,
July. Well, but.
Well, here's the thing, I haven't been in that first floor apartment since I last abated. Every time I go there, the door is locked. So I just do the common areas, and just so I can go back to him and say, look, you haven't done a thing. Okay? But when I saw 7S and 7N, it kind of rang a bell, and then when I looked at his print, the layout for the fire alarm system, he's got the first floor split in two apartments. So he
when
laid it out.
It'll be a condemnation warning. We'll go and look at it, we'll confirm that there's
I don't
4.
care if it's.
And then you guys can do the tax them back
What's
from...
the tax?
Well, if it's improved,
Yeah.
but that's going to be another detriment to him.
And he may be in violation of his own regs. Because if he didn't properly come to our office,
Right,
have all his apartments, so.
yeah.
Well, herein lies kind of what I was driving at. I went there in 2013, and then again, you know, giving them some time and this and that. They did a couple of little idiotic things that you need to do. Point being is I was giving them the time, so I went back a few times, and each time there was nothing done. But I can't tell you if and when that whole scenario was done. I remember going in, seeing 2 doors in the rear, one marked apartment 7, and I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, that other door was to a bedroom, which happens a lot in 3 families. You got 2 doors that open into the same enclosure. So whether he, obviously he did it on his own, and he just did it, and now he's got, because he's the one that came in and told Johnny it's a 4-family.
But he's not from Connecticut, is that what you're saying?
Well, one of them is, and the other one that I talked to, like I said, was standing on top of some mountain out west. I don't know. It was hard to figure out on the phone call.
I think you're going to have to go out west to find him. Trip.
The best I can do is call this kid Nat. He's the one that supposedly lives on the 3rd floor. He doesn't always get back to me. You know, and I don't think I missed it in 2013 or 14, but it
Can you
is
see
what
if
it
we can
is.
get in there on Friday? If not, we'll go
I mean,
do
I
the
can
best
call
we
him,
can.
you know, I mean, I found it a little weird that the kid that answered the door said, yeah, he goes, I come here to hang out and take a shower and everything, and I said, you live here? He goes, no, no.
Karen, what time do we have any appointments?
I don't recall.
Do we have, you have definite ones that we got to be at?
I
a
don't
certain
think
time?
anything that was definite.
Okay. So if you get a hold of them, can you see what time? we
Yeah, I'll
have?
try.
If not, then we'll just go and look at it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other business? Tim?
No.
No. We did a lot today. It's almost an hour. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Do you want my paperwork or no?
Oh, I'm sorry, Anne Marie.
Wait a minute, you're here. I do have some stuff to hand out. I'll make it as quick as possible.
don't
One
rush.
and pass it around. There's three here. I will keep it.
Actually, with everything we've been talking about, this is perfect now. Is this the relocation, right?
Yes, this is relocation. There's a sheet in there that says the date for code enforcement, or that address specifically code enforcement and blight, March 15th.
Do you have to, is that a paid seminar? Or?
Is Gemma? I thought we didn't have to do it. We can look into it, but I don't. All right, $25. No one says.
Oh, you do have to pay for it. Okay.
So you're going to take a look at this. I did not print out for everyone this because it's 90. What you got was my email that gives you the link. I didn't want to kill it many trees. So to understand or to fully comprehend my notes, you kind of need to take a look at the PowerPoint presentation.
Isn't that why we have you here?
Yeah, so I'm going to just explain it.
Okay.
So, my notes basically go through some of the things that I thought were kind of impressive out of this seminar. One of the things relating directly to what we just talked about, illegal apartments, not necessarily something we want to advertise. However, landlords are responsible for all of the tenants in their building. So in the past, we've had places that were condemned that had maybe 21 people living there. Well, if the landlord doesn't know that there's 21 people in there, then shame on him, is basically what the lawyer said. We would pay relocation to every single person in there who applied for relocation assistance, who did so in the time frame that's under the state statute, and who were eligible. The only thing the state and the federal government, under the Uniform Relocation Act and under the State Act, the only thing that requires them to be approved is a 90-day residency. So they don't have to be current on rent, they don't have to have a lease, verbal or written. They just have to be proving that they live there. So they show you something from the State Department because they got their staff card at this address 90 days ago. There you go, proof. They don't have to be paying bills there, electric, water, nothing. So that's where the city can probably get into, yikes. Now, the good part about some of the things that I learned, and I'm not going to go through this whole list. If you have the time to go through, it was very valuable if you have the time to go through that PowerPoint presentation. It quotes every single state statute. But my train of thought on this is, we lien the landlords, we lien the property owners of the buildings every time we do a relocation. What we found out was we can lien the landlords for every single property they own, not just the one that we condemned. And we can do an open-ended lien. So we're not saying we're just going to lien you on the $4,000 for relocation. We're going to leave that open for all of our costs. So it's filing fees, it's the temporary relocation if we pay for hotels, it's for moving expenses, it's for the permanent relocation, and it goes on and on to show where we can actually get some serious coin out of liening the property. We can get 2/3 of that reimbursed to us if we assign the liens to the state. So we're looking into, okay, what property owners, we have probably, I looked this up for Eileen last week, roughly $350,000 in liens right now on properties directed for relocation.
$350,000?
Roughly.
Wow.
On the multiple properties.
Condemned all those
currently have
properties.
So,
Wow.
we're looking into, and I want to say maybe 60% of those have some affiliation with Aaron Cohen or Anthony Timmerer. When you look at the landlords. Yeah. So, going forward, our relocation plan, so everybody in this room understands, goes above and beyond what the state and the federal government require. So we do a lot more than the minimum that's required. That's not a bad thing. However, in looking at, and we've had talks for months now about looking at our relocation plan, we should probably update it so that we have a few things in writing that say, okay, based on our state statutes and our federal statutes and what we're required to do by law, this is what you get, bare minimum. And then in addition to, this is what we're willing to provide. So that's pretty much the crux of it. I thought you guys might get a kick out of, it's I think under number 7. It's talking about funding sources, and it says one city parked a fire truck outside of a property for 6 days and charged it back to the condo association because it was that bad of an issue, and the property management company didn't do anything to fix it, and they said, oh, no, we're not going to have our guys scramble last minute to save lives because you didn't do what you're supposed to do, so they parked the fire truck right in front and charged it back to the condo. And I was like, wow. So some of the anecdotal stories that came out of that meeting were amazing. It gave me a ton of information, so I wanted to share that with you guys. And,
Henry, again, we had talked about giving a handout to tenants if I'm going to do a condemnation warning, and I'm just thinking about causing a stir with the tenants that maybe you'll get back to the landlord. You know, if you put some of these bullet points on a thing that, you know, your landlord is responsible for hotel costs, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we do have a notice to owner that goes out. Anytime you condemn a building, a notice to owner is sent to the owner. It's a notice to call me, saying you may be eligible for relocation. I don't send the tenant that until the landlord has told me I'm not doing relocation, because it's the landlord's responsibility to relocate the tenant.
Well,
the only time they do relocation
you
is when
think
the
if
landlord
we
says no.
put something together like that, then when we go out and, you know, a lot of these
We put
houses...
pressure on the landlord?
Yeah. It's just a way of, maybe the tenants will get back to the landlord, well, I'm going to go to a hotel, you're going to pay for it.
It could be something like know your rights. I mean,
Right,
maybe something like that, a couple bullet points that might
right. Hate to make more work for you, but if that would help, it might alleviate the actual condemnation.
Well, the past few that we've had actually assistance and cooperation from the landlords,
Yeah.
where they paid for temporary relocation because...
Well, you got a hold of them right away, that's
Yeah,
why.
and the city's not responsible, nor are we required to put people in hotels. And I think that's the misconception. Like you said, people now know the system, they think, well, I'm going to call and I'm going to get this condemned and I'm going to get relocation money.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily entitled to relocation money unless your landlord says, I have no other units to put you in, or I have nowhere to relocate you. So the liability falls on the owner, which is why that notice to owner goes out, and I attach your orders and I say, based on this order, this is what's happening. This is what the state and the town has for relocation funds, but you will be lien with your property. Now we can change it and say all of your real property can be lien.
Yeah.
So there's a few things going forward that I think we'd probably like to implement that we can throw into our plan that'll help us save money and hopefully recoup it on the back end.
Is there anything we can do to stop an actual condemnation and get people to take care of their properties? That'd be good.
Change human
I don't think
nature.
we can.
I know, change my nature.
Human nature, I said, not
You're a
yours.
robot. You can't stop.
Yeah, I don't know.
Emily, just a quick
World Peace
question.
too.
Yeah.
This,
Save
last,
money.
yeah, is it an extension of what you had gone to in January?
You know what, we covered probably an hour on code enforcement, because in that group that I was with, it was all attorneys and building officials, some police, fire, safety officials, and then people like me. So, and a few people from health went to it as well. So this one, I think, is going to be specifically code enforcement. It's not going to be the Relocation Act. It's going to be specific to code enforcement and how do you get in the door. One of the things that, the very first bullet point on my notes, code enforcement, when they went over code enforcement, they did all kinds of pictures. They showed, police going in. They showed the SWAT team. They showed, and then they said, the intent of code enforcement is to be helpful and preventive. Exigent circumstances allows entry, not meant to be the hammer. So that's pretty much the theme of the next one is, even though you want to address blight, it's not supposed to be, okay, hammer's coming down and we're going to fix this now.
I think that's the way we treat code enforcement here anyhow. We give people time to
I think
rectify
you're
the
right.
situation, so
Yeah.
we try not to be,
The hammer.
well, we try not to be as hard as Guy is also.
But yeah, I think it's going to be beneficial for as many of us to attend that.
So the link that you have on the first page,
That brings you to...
for CAMA.
Yeah, that should bring you to Camera's
So,
website.
to sign up for that next
I
class.
think so. You already, you said you signed up for this. Mike, did you? Because I didn't get the email yet. I was forwarded to you.
One of us. At least
Is
one of
it
us.
on Camera's website? To register?
I think it's good.
Takes the edge off the-
So we're on the same page at least.
Oh, there. Well, the one that we did in January went to 1, and we needed more time. So
Yeah, this one.
this one goes to 4?
Yeah.
Good, okay, we would use it. We went like 45 minutes over, just with so many questions that people had. What I enjoyed was you were getting all of the anecdotal stories, but you were getting straight shoot, like, these answers were from the lawyers, this is the law, and this can
Where
be
you
permitted and
can't,
this
yeah,
can't.
right.
And I was like, huh,
That's good.
yeah, very informative, very informative. So if you have questions, if you get a chance to look at the slideshow and you wanted to clarify anything, or if you had questions, you can certainly get a hold of me. But I didn't want to go through that whole, I mean, this thing is, and hopefully one day I'll be smart enough to just quote the state statute right off the top of my head. But lots of really good stuff in there. And then I would encourage whoever we can send to take the one.
Well, it's good you're excited about it, because then, you know, it makes me want to condemn some property.
All right, that's all I have.
That's it. Have a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
All in favor?